Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Coming to you live to tape, 25 feet below the surface of the earth. Here for another special edition of Chaos Corner on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. For today, this date in pro wrestling history for November 16th. I can't thank you fans enough for being here. This is a much needed distraction, a stress reliever, if you will, and I hope I'm providing some levity and a distraction to you, the fans. Follow me on all social media platforms. You know what they are in real time on X at Big Daddy GOC, and the GOC stands for the Guardian of Chaos. On Instagram, it's the Guardian of Chaos. On Facebook, I have 2 accounts. That's right, there's 2. J Brony, not Jabroni, but J Brony, just like it sounds, and Protegio Fidelis El Guardian in honor of my heritage. Follow me on Gitter, Gab, Truth Social, and soon I'll be taking over live on Rumble. Big shout out and recognition to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because if He's for us, nobody else can be against us. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. Situational awareness. Keep your friends and family close, your inner circle. Tomorrow is not guaranteed for any of us in this insanity that we live in the world of 2023. That's why I'm here to give you this date today in pro wrestling history. Does it get any better than that? Because I don't think that it does. We have, again, another special TV show, reality show, podcast, whatever you want to call it here at Chaos Corner. Oh, wait, I forgot something. I'm live, but I'm taping this at the same time. Yeah, fuck it. You guys get the idea. And I apologize for the cussing. I know I don't need to cuss. It just happens sometimes. We're jumping off YouTube, all the other social media platforms, and come all back to the mothership. Guardian of Chaos on YouTube. All right, fans, let's get right down to the nitty-gritty for November 16th, today, this date in pro wrestling history. We start off November 16th, 1955. Tiger Joe Kinder and King Kong Zaya defeat Ricky Dozan and Harold Sakata in Tokyo, Japan to win a tournament to crown the first ever All-Asian Tag Team Championships. The belts that are still defended today in all Japan. Origato, konnichiwa, bitches, from Chaos-san, the GOC-san. How about that? The late, great Ricky Dozan. Do your homework. Do your due diligence. Remember, here at Chaos Corner, one man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. No paywalls, no super chats, no PayPal, Zen, Venmo, whatever you call it. You get you and me for free. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, email me, inbox me, get in touch with me, man. We're coming up on that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, and we will be live here on YouTube. Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. Let's get back to brass tacks. Back into the time machine. November 16th, 1961. Dale Lewis and Pat Kennedy defeat Hard-Boiled Haggerty and Bob Geigel for the AWA World Tag Team titles in Rochester, Minnesota. Now here's the sidebar. Haggerty held the belts with Gene Kiniski, but when the team broke up, Haggerty defeated Kiniski in his singles match and selected Bob Geigel as his new partner. How about that? Geigel was one heck of a promoter back in the day. Do your due diligence, do your research. Back into the time machine, a very good year. November 16th, 1963. The Crusher defeats Vern Gagne in Minneapolis, Minnesota to win the AWA World Heavyweight title for the second time. Now let's really get back into that time machine as we bounce forward. November 16th, 1984. Crusher Blackwell defeats Harley Race for the Missouri State Heavyweight title in St. Louis, Missouri, ending Race's 6th reign with the belt and starting Blackwell's second reign. November 16th, 1987. The World Wrestling Federation holds a Legends Battle Royal at the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's interesting to note, coming from Chaos Corner, at the time, the WWF rarely acknowledged other wrestling organizations or their history. But yet, on this date in pro wrestling history, November 16th, 1987, this match contained many stars that achieved their fame outside of the WWF. For example, 72-year-old Lou Thez won the match, the Legends Battle Royal, outlasting such luminaries as Nick Bockwinkel, Art Thomas, Bobo Brazil, Chief J. Strongbow, Gino Brito, the Golden Boy Arnold Skolin, Edouard Carpentier, the man from Malta, Baron Miguel Scicluna, Al Costello, Pat O'Connor, the Crusher, the Latin sensation Pedro Morales, Dominic DeNucci, Killer Kowalski, Tony Gurria, Gene Kiniski, and Rene Goulet. Talk about a who's who of professional wrestling greats. That 1987 Legends Battle Royal was unbelievable. Now, another sidebar. Leaping Lanny Poffo would later reveal the WWF's decision to not book Angelo King Kong Poffo for this match at Randy Savage's request, as the moment that eventually led to Savage leaving the WWF in 1995. Oh, who knew? How about that? Do your research, your due diligence. It's all out there for public information on what the GOC gathers. It takes hours to put these shows together. You have to be prepared, I say it all the time, to make it relatable to you, the fans. November 16th, 1992. The Sandman defeats the magnificent Don Morocco for the ECW, at that point, Eastern Championship Wrestling, for the heavyweight title in Philadelphia. The Sandman would go on to become the only 5-time heavyweight champion in ECW history, which we know was Eastern Championship Wrestling, as I just said, onto Extreme Championship Wrestling. Let that marinate. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Sandman, the only 5-time ECW heavyweight champion in history. November 16th, 1994, WCW Clash of the Champions in Jacksonville, Florida, at the Jacksonville Coliseum, aired live on TBS. The late great Patriot Del Wilkes and Marcus Bagwell defeat head trainer at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, Pretty Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff, to win the WCW World Tag Team titles when Bagwell pinned Roma with a back suplex. Sorry about that, Roma. You're still one of the greatest ever. WCW TV champion Johnny B. Bad defeats the Honky Tonk Man via disqualification when Honky hit Johnny B. Bad with the guitar. On that same card, Harlem Heat defeated the Nasty Boys when Stevie Ray pinned Jerry Sags. Also on that same card, 1994 WCW Clash of the Champions. Vader defeated Dustin Rhodes with a power bomb. Vader went to splash Rhodes off the ropes after the bout, but Hacksaw Jim Duggan, made the save and cracked Vader with the infamous 2x4. It's a good man there, Hacksaw. Had a chance to be in the ring with him several times over the years. True class, a true gentleman. We continue on November 16th, 1994, Clash of the Champions. This was The Hogan era in WCW. This was the beginning of the Hogan era in WCW. Let me make sure I have my notes here correct, and that was at the Clash of the Champions. WCW United States Champion Hacksaw Jim Duggan defeats stunning Steve Austin in less than a minute via disqualification when Vader ran in to attack Duggan. Duggan, once again, with the 2x4 in hand, cleared the ring. You see the chaos that went on there in 1994 during the beginning of the Hogan era. Vader, Hacksaw, Steve Austin. I mean, this is pure insanity. Speaking of Hogan, on that same card, 1994 Clash of the Champions, November 16th, on this date in professional wrestling history, Hulk Hogan, Sting, and Dave Sullivan defeat the Butcher. Not Abdullah the Butcher. Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Bueller? The Butcher was none other than Brutus the Barber Beefcake, along with the Avalanche and Kevin Sullivan. When Hogan pinned Kevin Sullivan, Mr. T was the special guest referee and hit Sullivan to set up the pin. Now, how about that? Back to the early rock and wrestling days in the mid-'80s and MTV and War to Settle a Score, to Brawl to Settle It All, Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, and years later down in WCW. What goes around, comes back around again. Isn't that a song? I think it is. Back into the time machine. November 16th, 1996, ECW presents November to Remember in Philadelphia at the ECW Arena. Stevie Richards defeats Kid Cash. This was the debut of the BWO, obviously an imitation of the NWO. The Blue World Order with Big Stevie Cool, Stevie Richards mimicking Kevin Nash. The Blue Guy, which was the Blue Meanie imitating Scott Hall. And Hollywood Nova, which was Supernova as Hulk Hogan. How about that for an imitation? The NWO, the BWO, the LWO, whatever the fuck you want to call it, man. So many different factions. Stevie Richards won the match with a Stevie Super Kick. On that same card, November to Remember, Axel Rotten defeats Hack Myers with a face buster on a chair. The Dudleys face each other as Bubba Ray defeats Devon with a Bubba Cutter. Following the match, Joel, the quintessential stud muffin Gertner, my good friend, my old buddy, stated that Devon had won on points and ended up taking a moonsault from Big Dick Dudley as a result. You see, when the Dudley boys are around, the chaos, and pun intended, that happens. Wrapped up in chains here at Chaos Corner. If you know my history, this is very apropos. And my history with the Dudley boys. On that same card, 1996 ECW November to Remember, the Eliminators versus Sabu and RVD went to a time limit draw. No match to determine the number one contenders to the ECW World Tag Team titles. This was that match. Commissioner Todd Gordon, that's right, Commissioner Todd Gordon, then announced that due to the draw, both teams would face the Gangsters in a three-way later on that night. So as I said, the Eliminators, Cronus and Saturn, Sabu and RVD go to the time limit draw, which was 20 minutes, I believe, and 2 overtime periods, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it was, to lead to that three-way against the ECW champions, Mustafa and New Jack, the Gangsters. And of course, Todd Gordon was the commissioner at that time, excuse me. Let's stay in the time machine for November 16th, 1996, ECW's November to Remember. Chris Candido defeats Mikey Whipwreck with a top rope powerbomb. ECW World Tag Team Champions, the Gangsters, defeat the Eliminators and Sabu and RVD in a three-way dance. Taz came out and started choking RVD, allowing the Eliminators to pin Sabu. New Jack then hit Saturn with a flying chair shot to win the match. And there you have it. Retaining their titles, the Gangsters. You see what's going on here, right, with Alexa. Alexa, play Tropical Thunderstorm sounds for the fans here on Chaos Corner. I think she's listening to me. The blue light is circling and circling as we're here for ECW November to Remember. Alexa, please continue to play Tropical Thunderstorm sounds for my fans.
Okay, here's sleep sounds.
I didn't say sleep sound. Nobody wants to go to sleep during the middle of the show. Alexa, play Tropical Thunderstorm sounds. You get what you pay for here at Chaos Corner. No offense. Let's go back into the time machine and stay in November 6th, 1996, November to Remember. Where were we? The Gangsters just regained and retained the ECW Tag Team Championships. Taz, one hell of a guy, the Tasmaniac. On that same card, Too Cold Scorpio, who was leaving ECW for the WWF, Scorpio laid out a challenge to anyone to come out and try to make him leave. Scorpio would go on to defeat Devon Storm, JT Smith, and Hack Myers in a loser leaves ECW series of matches, beating all of them in less than 90 seconds. Louis Spicoli then defeated Scorpio in a loser leaves ECW match. Talk about confusion. I'm as confused as a baby at Hooters. Still refusing to leave the ring until Taz came out, at which point Scorpio finally left, saying he was going to where the big money was in the WWF. Let's continue. November 16th, 1996. And perhaps one of the most memorable moments in ECW history. That's up for debate. Taz wouldn't leave the ring until Sabu came out and faced him. Commissioner Todd Gordon came out and Taz choked him out. Paul Heyman came out and Taz gave him a Tazplex. Taz then choked Heyman out. The lights went out. Came back on, and face to face was Taz and Sabu. And then they charged each other and the lights went out again. You see, the lights thing has been going on for years in pro wrestling. And then when they came back on, the ring was empty as the fans, in total pandemonium, started chanting ECW, ECW, ECW. Wow. Let's continue on that same card. ECW Heavyweight Champion, the Sandman, defeats Raven with a DDT on the guardrail. And how about this for a legend? Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer defeat Shane Douglas and Brian Lee when Funk pinned Lee with a DDT. I think that rhymes. Say that 3 times fast. Let's hop back into the time machine here on Chaos Corner. We'll stay in 1996, November 16th. Jerry the King Lawler defeats the Colorado Kid for the USWA Unified Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee, to start Lawler's 25th reign with the USWA Heavyweight title. How about that for statistics and useless tidbits of history and information? Let's stay in 1996, November 16th. The WWF Hall of Fame inductions at the Marriott Marquis in New York City. Now let's note this. This would be the last induction ceremony until the WWE revived the hall in 2004. So they went a good 8 years from 96 to 2004 with no Hall of Fame. What a travesty of justice by the WWF, WWE. To go in on that class of 1996, inducted that night at the Marriott Marquis in the city, Captain Louis Albano, Killer Kowalski, Baron Mikhail Cicluna, Handsome Johnny Valiant. Wait, luscious Johnny Valiant, and handsome Jimmy Valiant, along with the unpredictable Johnny Rods, Pat Patterson, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and yes, Vincent J. McMahon. The old man got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Now, you know I got the Valiant brothers' names mixed up. It was Luscious Johnny, Handsome Jimmy, Gentleman Jerry. But you know what Bully Ray said to me? Busted Open radio co-host, Busted Open After Dark host, a two-time Hall of Famer, perhaps one of the greatest tag teams of all time. He said to me when we were going for the NWA World Tag Team titles in a series of tables matches where I was managing the Outcast Killers of Oman Tortuga and Diablo Santiago, he said, give the Guardian of Chaos 5 spots and he'll fuck up for him. I consider that to be a compliment coming from Bully Ray. Too much? Too soon? I'm okay. I already had my cup of coffee. I'm on to hydration now and water. I just came from the gym. Chest, tries, and buys. Don't cut me some slack, man. This is what you're here for, entertainment. Back into the time machine. November 16th, 1998. Juventud Guerrera. No offense, man. It's a work, man. Kayfabe. Guerrera defeats Billy Kidman for the WCW Cruiserweight title in Wichita, Kansas, starting Guerrera's third and final reign. Back into the time machine. November 16th, 2000. General Reaction and Alex Wright defeat Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Haire for the WCW World Tag Team titles in Germany, ending Jindrak's and O'Haire's second title reign. Two great athletes at the time, Jindrak and O'Haire. Back into the time machine, November 16th, 2006. TNA Impact, which is coming back in 2024, moves to prime time with Spike TV, giving the formerly late-night Saturday night show a new home at 9 p.m. on Thursday nights. TNA Impact in prime time, who knew? If you had a fucking deal in 2024, maybe more people would watch you. The product isn't that bad. I apologize for the cussing. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. November 16th, 2008. Former WWE champion Brock Lesnar captures the UFC Heavyweight Championship, defeating Randy Couture by second round TKO in Las Vegas. Lesnar is congratulated by a pregnant Rena Sable Miro. How about that? And we know the history of Lesnar as far as being a champion NCAA, WWE, UFC. At this time, he was a WWE champion and a UFC champion. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. How about that for history? November 16th, 2008. Former Ring of Honor booker, my old buddy, Gabe Sapolsky, who was just at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling this past summer for a nice tryout and scouting for the WWE and Triple H. Yeah, that's right. WWE scouting at PAPW and Gabe Sapolsky. Gabe, at that point in 2008, publicly discusses his firing from Ring of Honor for the first time since being let go the previous month. And he announces this via his, let this sink in, his MySpace blog. That's right, MySpace, who knew? Stating there were several reasons and he didn't agree with the decision at that point. And we know who Gabe's old buddy was and who was the founder of ROH, and that would be Kerry Silkin. Let that sink in for history, tidbits, useless facts of information, but pertinent on this day in pro wrestling history. My old buddy, Gabe Sapolsky. Thanks for coming down to Paradise Alley, Gabe. Started a lot of bullshit with some talent after that who have their head up their ass, but that's another story for another time about jealousy and enviousness and thinking they're better than who the fuck they were. Good luck in your future endeavors. November 16th, 2009. The WWE and the USA Network sign a new TV deal running through October of 2014 for Monday Night Raw. How about that, considering here in 2023, everything that's going on, NXT to the CW, Who knows if SmackDown will be on Fox anymore? We don't know if Monday Night Raw will continue on USA. There's a lot of rumors, speculation, and innuendo. You see what AEW Dynamite and Collision and Rampage are doing on TBS and TNT. And this weekend we have coming up Full Gear, AEW Full Gear this weekend. A lot of things going on, and I'll get to that in a minute on what's happening November 18th for Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. Let's fast forward in the time machine. November 16th, 2020. The beginning of the pandemic, as I call it. Monday Night Raw. Drew McIntyre regains the WWE title, defeating Randy Orton in front of fans using the Thunderdome format. As I said, the pandemic era. November 16th, 2020. McIntyre won at WrestleMania with no fans present that year. He also lost the title to Orton with no fans present in that year. And then lost it to The Miz with no fans present. So McIntyre wins, regains, loses the WWE title all in that time frame with no fans present. And talk about a fucking screw job. The heck with the Montreal screw job. And again, the cussing's getting a little crazy. I apologize. How about that for McIntyre? He's never really gained his momentum back since then. That's just my opinion on 2020 and what happened in the world of pro wrestling. A very forgettable year. And you see how it's still affecting us here in 2023, going into 2024. Almost 4 years later of this bullshit from the government and the world. Just calling it like I see it. I know we're here for a distraction, but I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly here on Chaos Corner. Let's go forward to go back and back to go forward. November 16th, 1988. Saturday night's main event from Sacramento's Arco Arena. The World Wrestling Federation champion Macho Man Randy Savage fought Andre the Giant to a double disqualification. The Ultimate Warrior defends his Intercontinental title against the Super Ninja. Who was the Super Ninja in 1988 to lose to the Ultimate Warrior? Saturday night's main event. Anyone? Bueller? McFly? Bueller? Anyone? The Super Ninja was none other than Rip the Crippler Oliver. How about that? For digging deep and doing the deep dive on your research. On that same card, Hercules Hernandez defeated Virgil. Now, if you remember that whole ignorant storyline back then with Bobby the Brain Heenan and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and using Hercules with the chains and kind of like this, and Virgil and that whole slave gimmick work they were doing back then. It shows you how they cross the lines and blur the lines, whether it's with the Iraqi war or sympathizers, the Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter, Sheik Adnan, Hercules, Virgil, DiBiase, what they did with MJF recently, and Rock Hard Juice Robinson and the roll of coins, and with this whole craziness going on between Israel and Gaza, Russia, Ukraine. They've always walked that line, the world of pro wrestling, and using its storylines. Whether it's a work, kayfabe, sometimes everybody's a little too sensitive in this day and age. Don't you think? I'm just giving you an opinion. You don't like it, like I said, change the channel. On that same card, Hacksaw Jim Duggan beats Boris Zukov. The Rougeaus beat the Young Stallions. And on the Brother Love show, Hulk Hogan throws Slick over the top rope and then body slams Brother Love on this date in history, November 16th, 1988, for Saturday night's main event. Back into the time machine here at Chaos Corner. November 16th, 2003, Survivor Series, which is right around the corner. Vince McMahon beats The Undertaker in a buried alive match after Kane interfered. Obviously, there was no other way for McMahon to win. Here's the sidebar. And again, you do the deep dive when you're the GOC. It was the last appearance of The Undertaker as the American Badass for over 16 years. He would return as the dead man at the next WrestleMania. Goldberg defeats Triple H to retain the WWF World title. In an ambulance match, Kane beat Shane McMahon after throwing Shane into the ambulance. The Basham brothers defeat Los Guerreros to retain the WWE Tag Team titles. On that same card, Molly Holly defeated Lita to retain the WWE Women's title. Back into the time machine as we go forward to go back and back to go forward. November 16th, 2004, SmackDown from Dayton, Ohio. You can't see me. Well, I guess you could. John Cena defeats Carlito Colon, in just 25 seconds to regain the United States title. 25 seconds. Cena was a beast. He still is, putting people over. Got to give him credit. And on a final note here, before I get to some current news here in 2023 for what's coming up this weekend, passings on this date, November 16th, 1978. Rest in peace, Eric the Red. Also, passings on this date, November 16th, 1981. Rest in peace, Alibaba. Now, at 30 minutes in, fans, that's basically all I have for today in pro wrestling history. But I wanted to end the program on this note here on Chaos Corner. Coming up this Saturday night, live, November 18th, at the Greater New Haven JCC, in the Constitution State, in the shadows of Titan Towers, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling presents Mania in Paradise. El Ref's final count. That's right, El Gallo Tres Huevos, member of the Zebras of Justice. El Ref will be retiring and calling his last match at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, Mania in Paradise. It will be El Ref's final count. All the championships will be on the line. All the WWE legends that own Paradise Alley will be there. And you know who they are. Mario Mancini, Paul Roma, Paul Perez, and Big Dave Paradise. All the young lions, the rookies, the veterans, the legends will be in attendance this Saturday night with a special 7 p.m. bell time. You're not going to want to miss it. Beautiful Brad Baylor, Hunter Tarka, Aaron Stevens. The list goes on and on. A battle royal. The women's title match. Sammy Chaos and Skylar Gray. It's gonna be an extravaganza, a bonanza. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Mania in Paradise. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. I'll be back tomorrow, so don't you dare miss it.